So basically, I'm going to be reading you something off of the script here. It's something that I wrote and that I hope anyone listening might be able to find interesting. So you just listen close and see if you can understand what I'm getting at here. I want you to open your eyes to the oneness we all reside in. I'm not talking about just us who have entered into the human experience. I want you to really feel in the awareness of how everything that exists in the physical realm is connected. I want you to see the openness and flexibility of living things, whether they breathe, bend in the wind, float in a stream, fall from the mountainside, or suddenly combust into the most brilliant light you've ever seen. A tree does not know of time. A tree does not feel hate. A tree does not judge, and a tree does not feel. Yet it is there, it exists, and that is the joy of a tree, growing and growing, and will not stop until its size is too great to be held up by the roots that hold it in the ground. It experiences the joy of existence in its most pure form, the joy that comes by refusing to overanalyze everything it may encounter, by refusing to even think. It simply is. There is tremendous joy to be found in the existence itself, by acknowledging the fact that as humans, we tend to continually think and speak and hear. We begin to overanalyze everything we perceive. This is the beginning of understanding. This understanding I speak of does not come from any sort of knowledge I've gained. It was simply knowledge that was always with me, just waiting to be rediscovered. This knowledge and understanding resides within us all, because we have all experienced it many times before. It is no coincidence that we cannot remember a life before birth, nor can we foresee a life after death. It is because we have clouded our minds with delusions of things we think to be certain. One of these things is time itself. Time is a man-made creation, a label for the passing of now. It will never be anything more than a label, because what is the past? The past can never be anything more than a now that was before, and the future is simply a now that hasn't come to fruition yet. I know this may all seem a little far out and fishy, but ask yourself, does anything exist outside of this very moment? Does anything at all truly exist outside of what you perceive in this very moment as you hear the words I speak, as you listen to my voice right now? If you can't find an answer to this query just yet, consider what I have to say, even though you may be skeptical. It seems to me that everyone is always thinking of what the afterlife will be. For many it is a heaven with angels and with God himself. For others they believe that the afterlife is simply their bodies crumbling away and returning back to the earth from which they came. But consider this for just a moment. What if this life you seem to be living for the first time is itself an afterlife? One of many that your spirit, your soul, your energy has lived many times before, in many various forms and being. If you are familiar with science, doesn't a basic principle, the law of conservation of energy, state that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, merely transmuted into a different form? And don't you have an energy that drives you, that physically propels your perception of a physical body through this reality? What happens to that energy when you die? When your body has expired in this physical realm as you know it, energy can't be destroyed, so where does it go? It goes back to its source. It returns to your creator, whomever or whatever you choose to believe that creator or source to be. See, religion has created a massive rift in today's society. Many churches all over the world, whether they be Hindu, Christian, Islamic, Catholic, or whatever, the list goes on, have began to teach an ideology of secularism. And this ideology is spread into almost every aspect of our day-to-day lives. We constantly seclude ourselves to a certain group of people based on their likeness and perception to our own. We go to a specific church that tells us that the teachings of this religion is the only true teaching. This might be a surprise to most, but that's kind of what it's like in all states of organized religion. But it extends even further. We associate with people based on career paths, based on food choices, based on the style of clothes they wear. We even try to exclude others from entering our sects or circles because they don't quite fit in. And this secularistic state of being is hypocrisy at its finest. I'm going to use Christianity as an example here. In the Bible, I'm pretty sure it tells you that God created all things and is the omnipotent master of the universe in his infallible ways. Now this portion is true, But what comes next is where it gets sticky. Then it tells you that we are all children of God, and that he has imbued a part of himself into us. That's our soul. And he loves us all equally. And it goes further, explaining that we too should love all his children as he does, because that is the life that he has intended us to live. This is where the hypocrisy comes into play, as he has told all believers in the Christian faith to love all God's creation as equally and wholly as he does. They don't seem to do anything like that. Quite a few go as far to say that their God is the only true and correct God, and that if other people do not believe in him exactly as they say, then these non-believers will be banned to the fires of hell and shall not find eternal salvation. That doesn't exactly sound like loving all God's creation to me. See, when the Bible says that God is the omnipotent, perfect, infallible creator of everything, I see that as meaning not only did he create everything, but he is everything. That as being the only force capable of omnipotence, he is all being, all seeing, all knowing, and that in itself means that he not only created everyone, but he created all their ideologies, all their views on life, all their passions, all their desires of a moral nature. But we as humans have obscured this. And I'm not saying Christians are the only ones guilty of doing this. It applies to just about the entire population to some extent. I believe God exists simply because everyone on this earth believes in a higher power, some force greater than their own. And while others choose to belittle and besmirch how people outside their sect of beliefs worship the God they have come to know, my beliefs led me to a certain realization. We create our heaven, and we create our hell. We create these things with our actions and words every single day. Imagine this for just a moment. If we all loved unconditionally as God does, applying this love to all peoples, all beliefs, all cultures, and everything else that exists in this physical realm, there would be no more war. There would be no more famine. There would be no more crime. Because who in their right mind would kill someone they love? Who in their right mind would allow someone they love to go hungry? What sane human being would harm in any way, steal from, or rape someone that they loved? No one. Imagine what that would be like. All the harmony and peace that would exist simply out of love. That is heaven. That is what we all seek. That is the utopian society that has been said never to be able to exist. But I promise you this, that it can exist. It can exist right now. All it would take is for every single person on the face of this planet to accept the frivolity of many of their actions, many of their long-held grudges, many of their trivial pursuits like money and power, and just love. Love is all it takes to create a better world. So ask yourself, do you really have a reason not to love anything?